Okay, we are at 7:30. I am calling to order. I can't find the bottom of my, that's okay? Whatever, doesn't matter. Oh, there we go. Now that it's found, doesn't need it. But we are calling to order the October 8th Town Council meeting at 7:30, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Davidoff.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Councilor Blanks.
Present.
Mayor Cantor.
Here.
Councilor Cortez.
Here.
Councilor Fay.
Here.
Councilor McGinnis.
Here.
Councilor Poland.
Here.
Councilor Walters.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Winograd. Here. Councilor Zdanowitz.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. Before we're going to present a couple of proclamations and get into the meat of the meeting, I want to just take a point of privilege and talk about a couple of things. One is Hurricane Helene that has impacted so many people. It heavily impacted western North Carolina, but impacted 6 states, 231 deaths. This is the most devastating hurricane to strike the U.S. mainland in 50 years. I've been reading about, and I actually reached out to the mayor of Asheville, North Carolina. There is tremendous damage, and they just don't know what will be on the other side of this. So I really, we're thinking about all of those people that are trying to repair their lives, have been uprooted, and the real damage that has been done, and thinking about all of them, as we know, and many people, I have friends that live in Tampa that have been evacuated from Tampa. Hurricane Milton is bearing down on the Gulf Coast of Florida, expected tomorrow, and they're expecting, I guess it went down to a Category 4, now it's back up to a 5, and I don't know if you heard the meteorologist giving their report, who broke into tears about how powerful it was in less than I think a 10-hour period. It went from a 3 to a 5. So it's a really scary, scary time. And so we think about all of our neighbors and our friends and people that we know, and really, I'm sure there's going to be some recovery donations and places that you can contribute, but I do know the Red Cross is on the ground, and that's a great organization to contribute to, and they know what they're doing when they're go respond to a disaster like that. And also, I wanted to share a little bit about yesterday. That was the first anniversary of October 7th attacks in Israel. We paused last night at Bethel as a community to reflect on the barbaric, horrific, cruel terrorist attack on Israelis, the largest terror attack in Israeli history. And last evening, we had, again, over 1,000 people at Bethel Synagogue to mourn, reflect, comfort, and strengthen each other. I want to thank the Jewish Federation for organizing and Bethel for hosting. And this was a heavy lift for our community. Our public safety were there in very, very strong force, basically. I mean, they really showed up, and it was a little chilling, actually, to see it. But we wanted to make sure people were safe, and I know it was an organizational real challenge for them to make sure that they covered the area and made sure everybody was safe. So again, I want to thank, and they did receive the largest applause of anything in the program, I will say. So, and our chiefs were there, our assistant chief was there too, and so grateful for their support. Also, the governor, Congressman Larson, State Senator Slapp, and some of my colleagues that were there, Deputy Mayor Ben Wenegred, Councilor Deb Pullen was there, Councilor Carol Blanks was there, and Town Clerk Leon Davidoff. So thank you for being there. And just a short message, but we think about the brutality, cruelty, and calculated horror that was inflicted on innocent men, women, children, and babies, families tortured in front of each other. There were so many futures stolen, families ripped apart, communities destroyed. The degradation and humiliation is truly beyond comprehension. A year from yesterday, there are still 101 hostages being held, 7 Americans. So many lives and families have been suspended in fear, not knowing about their loved ones, their isolation and captivity, including there was a baby that was also has been held hostage, a 9-month-old that was taken on October 7, 2023, Kafir Babis. So as we look back on this year, it's a year of cruel eternity, almost. It's just, we reflect on all that's happened and all the devastation that has followed. This has been a year of tremendous pain, loss, and grief. And lots of us are not sure what to do with all of it. As we mourn and reflect, we also reaffirm a fundamental principle of our shared humanity. Every innocent life matters. Every Israeli, every Palestinian, every Lebanese, every single innocent life. It is the terrorists who close their eyes to that powerful, simple truth. The number of civilians who have lost their lives over the past year is a tragedy of horrific proportions. We pray for them. We pray for an end to hate, which drives so much violence, and we pray for peace. And with that, we will move to our first proclamation. And I'm actually going to start with our proclamation that is recognizing Hispanic Americans National Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas the town of West Hartford recognizes and honors the contribution of all Hispanic American members of our community, and whereas in 1988, the United States Congress adopted a resolution designating September 5th to October 15th of each year as National Hispanic Heritage Month. And whereas this year's theme is a theme that invites us to celebrate Hispanic heritage and reflect on how great our tomorrow can be if we hold onto our resilience and hope. It also encourages us to reflect on all the contribution Hispanics have made in the past and will continue to make in the future. And whereas now the month-long tribute is observed from September to October and commemorates those in the U.S. whose ancestors come from Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Equatorial Guinea, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Uruguay, and Venezuela. And whereas the celebration recognizes the positive impact that Hispanic Americans have left on the country, Hispanic Americans bring a rich cultural heritage representing many countries, ethnicities, and religious traditions that contribute to America's future. And whereas the Hispanic community has had a profound influence on our country through their strong commitment to family, faith, hard work, and services, and they have enhanced and shaped our national heritage with centuries-old traditions that reflect the multi-ethnic and multicultural customs of their community. And whereas during National Hispanic Heritage Month, the United States celebrates the cultures and traditions of the countries and areas that I mentioned, whereas the town of West Hartford invites all community members to learn about the rich Hispanic culture, traditions, and history, celebrate those contributions that have been made to our country and community by Hispanic Americans, and celebrate them. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council of West Hartford and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, do hereby proclaim September 15th to October 15th Hispanic Heritage Month, and as we remember our hard-fought progress, let us resolve to continue moving forward. Together, we ensure the laws respect everyone and that civil rights apply to everyone. I call upon our residents to learn about the rich history of Hispanic heritage and to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities. And thank you. And I don't know if you would like to say anything, Alberto, but feel free if you would like to.
No, thank you. And as the first, Latino elected to town council, it's an honor, to be serving here. And, thank you for acknowledging, Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'm glad that I live in the community that we live in. Thank you.
Thank you, and it is a pleasure to have you. Okay, and I'm going to call up Gretchen Levitz, and I want to recognize Carl Shields, who is also in the audience, and Gretchen will introduce her students that are doing tremendous work on behalf of their fellow themselves and their peers in their community. But we'll meet at the podium. You can invite them all up for a picture. So at the end, I'm going to read the proclamation first, okay? Okay, come on. All right. Whereas the town of West Hartford has endeavored to bring the community together to prevent substance use and promote mental health and wellness, and such as the town has received the designation as a recovery-friendly community by the state of Connecticut's Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. And whereas a recovery-friendly community advances the prevention of mental health and substance use disorders and recognizes the prevalence of issues within families and individuals such as depression, suicide, multiple types of substance abuse, and the need for communities to promote a life worth living by decreasing discrimination and barriers for receiving help when needed. Whereas the designation as a recovery-friendly community requires demonstration that we are supporting people in recovery within town leadership, municipal departments, community attitudes, and community resources. And whereas we as a community recognize there are complex, multifaceted risk factors for substance use, consider mental health issues to be of great importance, and understand that there are multiple opportunities to develop and strengthen the school, community, and family bonds across all cultural and age spectrums that provide protection from substance abuse and promote overall mental health. Whereas the town of West Hartford, through the Division of Social Services, the West Hartford Police Department, West Hartford Bloomfield Health District, West Hartford Board of Education, the Bridge Family Center, and the town's Youth Services Bureau, the West Hartford Prevention Council, the West Hartford Prevention Partnership, along with the individuals, organizations, and general public, will continue to collaborate on the continuation and expansion of year-round prevention efforts involved in being a recovery-friendly community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council of West Hartford and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, do hereby proclaim the Town of West Hartford as a recovery-friendly community and support the efforts of our local government, community groups, and residents to increase public awareness about the importance of substance and use prevention and positive mental health. And Gretchen and Carl have been leaders in this, and Gretchen has a few words she'd like to say, and she's going to introduce again the students that have been so involved in helping on this mission. Thank you.
Hi, I am so proud to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Prevention Council, the Prevention Partnership, and most of all, the members of our community who are affected in one way or another by mental health challenges, substance misuse, and who have chosen the path to recovery. No one is immune. Every family, every neighborhood, workplace has been touched by someone who's either struggling or in recovery. By establishing West Hartford as a recovery-friendly community, we acknowledge that we hear you, we see you, and we are committed to providing the resources and support that you need right here in our community. Our town's social services department, the West Hartford schools, Parks and Rec department, the libraries, police and fire departments, and all of the community agencies and faith-based initiatives are aligned and ready to offer services and support as they have already. With only a dozen communities in the state of Connecticut having received recovery-friendly status in the whole state, we're proud that West Hartford now joins this distinguished group through this important designation. I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Carl Shields, who is my co-recovery champion. So we're the recovery champions for this year. And for his hard work on the Prevention Council and for helping make this vision a reality. I'd also like to acknowledge the students who are here, who've made it their mission to educate their peers and act as prevention role models in their schools and community. Together, we are building a stronger, more compassionate, and supportive community. So we thank you. And if you'd like to, you want to stand up?
Come on up for a picture. And Ronnie, do you want to take it? You hold the proclamation. I know. No.
Usually the same.
So we're going in the front row, and they'll.
Don't knock over the guys on the crutches. I've got everybody smile. All right, thank you.
Awesome, thank you all. Keep up the good work.
Just wanted to quickly mention that recently we held the first training of its kind in Connecticut and probably in the United States in West Hartford. And these students attended. It was a teen leadership academy where they became equipped to handle a variety of issues affecting their peers and their community. So I'm very proud of that. There were 40 students in attendance. As part of the program for the day, in addition to having a cadre of well-trained students, we came up with a concept called the ABLE table. If you haven't heard of it, I think we're going to have the first one in West Hartford. Rise Up for the Arts has been working with our students to create an accessible table that has images we spent Sunday morning painting. It will be placed in Blueback Square for all of our community members to see. And we'll invite all of you to our reception that we're going to be holding. We're very excited. We have lots and lots of events and activities, and it's all because we have so many people in our community that are so strongly supportive of our efforts. So thank you. Thank you.
The proclamation has a typo, so we're going to have the typo.
Okay.
I'll be very brief. I've worked in psychiatry for 40 years, and this is just thrilling to me, and things we should have been doing decades and decades ago. Connecticut, you know, when we think about the treatment of people with psychiatric disorders or substance use disorders, it's pretty horrific. And I really liked your comment about tending to our common humanity. That's what this is. You're my neighbor, you're my friend, you're my relative. We're all welcome here, and we can work together to find solutions here. That's really what it is. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Thank you, all the students, and good luck on your recovery. Physical, mental, all. No. Okay, thank you so much. All right, we will go to public forum. And while public forum, Mr. Davidoff, is there any, you did have one letter that you did copy us. Do you just want to mention the headline of it? The affordable housing, I think. No one has signed up to speak, but there was we did receive a
Madam Mayor,
communication.
today at 1:55, my office did receive correspondence from Mr. Andy Hoagland in support of the draft affordable housing plan. It was forwarded to each member of the council shortly thereafter, so you should all have received his email.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. All right, there's no public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to anything? The only one is Mr. Pullen, and Lord is so no. Okay, then we will now. I'd like a motion to suspend the rules to move a portion of the town manager's report up now, so we can hear from somebody that the town manager will introduce. But I need a motion and a second and a vote.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I appreciate the opportunity to cede a portion of the town manager's report to the beginning of the meeting, because we have a very special guest joining us this evening, and that is Mary Jane Foster, who is the president and CEO of Interval House, which I know is an organization that is near and dear to all of your hearts and your support annually during the budget process as we provide that support to the Interval House, but more importantly, the invaluable service that they provide to, unfortunately, far too many of our residents in working to end domestic violence. So with that said, I would invite Mary Jane up to the podium, and she'd like to spend a few moments addressing the town council this evening. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith, and welcome. Thank you. Come on up to the podium, and feel free to stand beside it. No, inside joke.
Don't mind. Thank you. Thank you all for having me here tonight. I always tell my staff that we assume everybody knows who we are and what we do. So if I am repeating myself or you already know, please forgive me. But I want to talk a little bit about who Interval House actually is. We are the state's largest domestic violence agency. If I ever find the person who designed that geography, we'll have a chat. We represent Hartford and the surrounding 23 towns and cities. And it extends all the way from East Granby over to Andover. I was in Ellington last night, down to Marlboro, Hebron. We have the suburbs in between. We have all of the urban areas. It's incredibly diverse, geographically, socioeconomically, racially, ethnicity, religion, and of course, Connecticut is blessed with this enormous immigrant population. And I always thought, being kind of a New Yorker, that was it. But no, in fact, the track is from New Haven to Springfield. So in our 24 towns, we have a number of them there. So we work with a tremendous number of immigrants. And it's diverse. We last year worked with 6,300 people. Since COVID, our numbers are up 30%. They show no signs of going down. Of those 6,300, 4,200 had some interaction with the courts, and that's Hartford and Manchester. We have the largest court cases in the state, followed by Bridgeport, followed by Manchester, and of course we have Manchester. So it is a heavy load. We are a $3.4 million agency. I have 38 employees. 31 of them are direct service, to give you an idea of how very lean we run. And our services are traditional. I was fortunate to come into this organization, co-founded by Chuck Corsi's mother, Joanne Corsi, and all of the women who founded this organization stuck to their knitting. We have never expanded into other programming that was not directly related to our mission to end and prevent domestic violence. So we have a 24/7 hotline. It is free. It is confidential. Interesting fact for you to know, important for you to know about that hotline, and you have numbers on all of the brochures for the Interval House hotline. We receive year in and year out roughly 5,000 incoming calls. Of those, more than 50% are for information. They are not people in crisis. They are for information. If you think about it, somebody, you fall in love, you build a relationship, there's hope, faith, trust, and all of a sudden it gets dark and you don't know what's happened. And so people call us for information, or they have a friend or a family member or a work colleague, which is much more common than you would imagine, and they call and say, what should I do? What should I know? How can I help? And those are the majority of the calls on the hotline. We also have 6,000 outgoing calls because our advocates stay in touch with victims. We make sure that their safety plan is still intact, that it's still appropriate, and if it needs updating, we work with them to do that. We have a 25-bed safe house. I'm a lawyer, so I don't do math, but this part I can figure out. We have run since COVID at 137 to 158% capacity. So we have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on hotels for safe space for victims of domestic violence. And I tell people, my advocates are incredibly seasoned. This isn't people without a home. This isn't people who are gaming us. These are people who are truly in crisis. And those numbers, I'm relieved to say, have come down, but it gives you an idea of the intensity of the work that we've faced. I'm incredibly proud of our court advocacy program. It's the largest in the state. I have 10 advocates in the courts. As I said, we worked with 4,200. That's more math I can do, by the way. 10 into 4,200, I can do that math. You can imagine the stress and the strain in the courts. Sometimes it's a one-off, and sometimes it's, let's say 13 years. Let's talk about our most well-known case. The hotline rang one night. It was a woman with 2 children who had been horribly abused, was not safe, really needed out. We safety planned with her. We got she and her girls to our safe house where she spent many, many, many months with her. You know her, a West Hartford resident, as Lapka Sherpa, the woman who holds the world record for the most summits of Mount Everest in the world. 10 summits of Mount Everest, and she's climbing again next spring. So when people ask me why I'm in this business, it's because we have an opportunity to help people change their lives and let them move on to their next best place. In this case, it was Mount Everest. So we work with people, again, sometimes short period of time, long period of time. Those are all directly connected to ending and preventing domestic violence. The last piece we have is community education. And while we have always done crisis intervention, and it's where the vast majority of our $3.4 million budget goes, a year ago, then Mayor Bronin called me. We had 4 women murdered right in the Hartford region in 3.5 weeks. And he said, what can we do? And I said, you have to get us into the schools. You've got to get us to the kids. If we don't break this cycle with kids, we are going to be in a place where we can't sustain the crisis intervention work we're doing. So we have formed partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club. That's 800 to 1,200 kids a year. Camp Current, we were there all summer. We're building a relationship with the YWCA, Big Brothers Big Sisters, digital content that will go out across the state. We don't have to own it. They can have it and use it however they want, and we are doing that. Last year, our average homicides went up from 12 to 19. I believe that we are currently at 20 for this year, and we are in October. We've had murder-suicide, Bridgeport and Sonia. We had an assault in Naugatuck, this in the last 6 weeks. We had a horrible assault in Bridgeport, a man with a baseball bat who took it to his girlfriend and her 2 sons. One is dead. We had in Cromwell a murder-suicide just last week. The violence is not only increasing, but it's just ferociously intense. The violation of protective orders is rampant. The lack of respect for rule of law has increased, and our work is really, really tough. We have no choice but to go to prevention. And everybody told me we couldn't fund it, but we have found a couple of foundations who are willing to fund our 2 community educators. We've worked well with Conard High School. Great. Mayor Counter was there for a wonderful session that we had with them. And I know you're all sitting, I have one more thing to say first. We have an advocate that is embedded in the West Hartford Police Station part-time. And I cannot say enough about Chief Reddick and the force here. They have been not only welcoming, they have been thankful and relieved that she is there and able to help with them. Our advocates, and they are embedded full-time in Manchester and Hartford, part-time East Hartford, part-time here, They work with police hand in glove on the really tough cases. And the police need that help. And we can, hopefully, we believe, avoid fatalities by working with them that closely. So I want to thank you all for your support on that, and thank the chief. I mean, for a tall guy, he's a really great guy. Saw him at the parade this weekend. I said, "Yo, tall guy," but it's been a great partnership. So what I was getting to is, I know you're all saying, "But how can we help?" You can do a couple of things. The most important things you can do is talk about Interval House. People need to know who we are and what we do. I hope everybody who's still awake, everybody who's still listening, hope you heard what we do. I hope you talk about us, because it's important that we raise awareness about this issue. It is important that people understand there are resources. We are free, we are confidential, everyone is protected by state statutes. From the first word you utter, you are protected by state statute. So we are available, we are here. The second thing that you can do is introduce us to your civic groups. I would love to speak. I've spoken at several houses of faith, Rotary, just joined the chamber. Wherever we can speak and talk about this issue, it's important. When things stay in the dark, they get darker. If we shine a light on this and continue to shine a light on it, like we're doing at the Boys and Girls Club, we're there every single week. We are talking about this with kids every single week. If we can do that, we can alleviate the shame that precludes victims from coming forth and living their very best life. So you can do that for us. And lastly, as you all have family, right? You all have friends, you have colleagues, stay in touch. Stay in touch with your friends, your families, and your colleagues. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be certified advocate. Just stay in touch via text. Hey, thinking about you today. How are you? Hey, anything I can do for you? What's up? Doing anything soon? Can we get together? All you have to do is stay in touch. 2 sentences on a text. And that victim will know that there is someone there for him or her. And it's just really important you do. And when they come to you and they disclose to you, you will have our hotline number, or you will know who we are, where we are, and how to get that resource to them. I have, since it's your proclamation, I have our brochures in Spanish, which you might want. And I also brought for your restrooms and your various town offices these tear-off sheets. You'll be amazed how quickly these tear-offs disappear. So I'm going to leave those with you. And if I can take any questions, I'm happy to.
Thank you very much, Mary Jane. And I've known you for a long time, and I'm so grateful for the work that you do. Hearing firsthand stories, being in the workshop that was largely about dating. That was really educating young people on when a relationship might be not healthy, and how abuse doesn't start as physical abuse usually, right? There's signs of seclusion, control,
Isolation.
verbal isolation, all of those things, which actually COVID really stirred so much of that, and it was just the perfect storm of bad, actually. So, but I'm just so grateful for you. And I don't know if you want to talk about that Lakba Sherpa event. Is that closed or is that open to the public?
It is wide open, thank you. I nearly forgot a very big thing. We are in partnership with the governor and with Mayor Cantor, hosting an event to honor Lakba Sherpa on Tuesday. It's at the downtown Hartford Public Library. It's a reception and brief ceremony, 5:30 to 6:30, and then a free screening of Mountain Queen, which is the Netflix documentary about her life. And it was one of the first things that landed on my desk when I got to Interval House, and I thought, I don't want to negotiate a show business contract. I didn't sign up for that. And to make a long story short, it got made. It was done. And they took it to the Toronto Film Festival last year, and Netflix bought it. and it is streaming now on Netflix. It's called Mountain Queen. And Netflix told the documentary publicity people that it is very strong, running very, very strong. So it even has a little bit of Oscar buzz, a little bit, not a lot, but still, it's Mountain Queen, and it's our Lapka. So that's 5:30. It's free, and we would love to have you all. Love to have a large contingent of West Hartford folks rooting on one of your neighbors.
And just state the location again, is the,
Downtown Hartford Public Library.
yeah.
It's right on Main Street. There's lots of parking on the street and a lot right behind.
Okay, perfect. All right, are there questions for Mary Jane? Anybody? All right, oh, sure, Tiffany, yes. You go ahead, Ms. McGinnis.
I just wanted to ask, I know that, now we have a national like text number. When people text into that, how does that work as far as the agencies in a state? How does
Right.
that get
Actually,
shifted down?
I can speak to our statewide
Okay.
hotline, which is Connecticut Safe Connect. And they have the ability for telephone, email, chat, and text. And it's now about 3 years old. Still, the vast, vast majority of contact is through telephone. But what happens is that all of those phone calls, emails, chats, texts go into the statewide hotline, and they connect a victim with their local DV agency. So it's when I'm speaking in our area, I give Interval House's hotline number because it's more direct. If you don't know who your domestic violence agency is or where that resource is, then the statewide coalition Safe Connect is a great resource. You bet.
Thank you, Ms. McGinnis. Ms. Blanks.
Thank you. And thank you, Mrs. Foster, for sharing that very important information. I'm just curious, do you have opportunities for volunteers?
We do, but I will be candid. We are required by state law that every volunteer who comes in contact with one of our clients be certified as a domestic violence advocate. And that is a, very intense, roughly 20-hour certification program. And then there is a training program. It's like when you become a lawyer, you pass the bar and everybody thinks you know how to practice law. Not so much. So it's the same thing with volunteers. So it's arduous. You really have to be committed to it. And then the time that we need volunteers most are the third shift and weekends and holidays. And that's tough for many people. What we are building up, and I would love to have help for, we are doing so much more in prevention, which means things like tabling at events, marching in parades, and we're always looking for help with those. Last Saturday, we had 4 events. And so everybody stretched pretty thin. Would have been wonderful to have had some volunteers to spell us for that. But you can certainly reach out to me. I have my cards. I will leave these along with the Spanish brochures and these tear-offs for you, and just take them on your way out.
Okay, thank you so much, and I want to give you a round of applause for what you do, and thank you for.
I like to remind people that my job is to keep the lights on. I don't do the work.
I know.
But I have extraordinary people who do the work. And last year they served just over 200 West Hartford residents. I am blessed by extraordinarily talented staff that get up each and every day and get it done. So thank you. I'll convey your applause.
Thank you
And
very much.
Hope I didn't take all your report.
Oh, no. Thank you so much, Mary Jane. I appreciate your flexibility and all that you do. Okay. Now we will go to number 4A, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move that items 5A and 10A be placed on the consent calendar.
Is there any objection? Okay, hearing no objection, the items are placed on consent. Mr. Winograd.
I move adoption of the consent calendar.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now go to number 7. Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to adopt a resolution adopting an affordable housing plan.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, and this is a big, this has been in the works for a very long time.
Yes,
Okay,
it has.
Mr.
Thank you.
Ledbetter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And it is a pleasure to be here this evening to summarize the resolution before you to adopt the Town of West Hartford's Affordable Housing Plan. By way of summary, as the council knows, Section 8-30J of Connecticut General Statute requires all municipalities to create and adopt an affordable housing plan at least once every 5 years that addresses the affordable housing shortage in the state of Connecticut. Early on in the process, the council, through the town manager, created the Affordable Housing Advisory Group. This group of staff and residents, led by our town planner, Todd Dumais, worked collaboratively to begin developing our plan, ensuring that it was tailored to meet the specific needs of our community. This advisory group contributed valuable insights into the challenges and opportunities we face in providing affordable housing options. As part of this process, a town-wide survey was conducted, which received over 1,400 responses. The feedback we received from our residents was critical in shaping the final plan and highlighted the importance of increasing affordable housing options in town. The advisory group, through our town planner, also engaged the services of the consulting firm Goldman & York, who assisted us with the housing and data collection, which helped inform the town's plan as well. Following the initial work of our advisory group and consultant, a draft of our plan was developed and brought forward to the Community Planning and Economic Development Committee at 4 different meetings. The result of all this work is a final affordable housing plan that first outlines our current efforts to address affordability, and we can't emphasize this part enough because it didn't take a state statute for us to address affordable housing. This council has been focused on affordable housing long before this state statute became effective. And you can see the results of that work in this plan through plans like our Plan of Conservation and Development and the council's use of $6 million in ARPA funds for our affordable housing development program. This plan also provides an assessment of our existing housing needs and identifies both opportunities and challenges in expanding affordable housing. It includes strategies to increase the range of housing types and affordability levels, ensuring that we can meet the diverse needs of our residents. The plan itself, which is posted online, and we have copies here for everyone this evening as well, is divided into 4 in-depth sections, starting with the introduction, which is pages 4 through 7, section titled About the Plan, which is found on pages 8 through 13, existing conditions, which covers pages 14 through 27, and the strategies, which is found on pages 28 through 36. In the introduction, we highlight the affordability crisis countrywide and what we face here in West Hartford. Historically, an average house in the U.S. costs around 5 times yearly median income. During the housing bubble in 2006, that ratio reached 6.8. Today, that ratio stands at 7.58 times the U.S. median household income. As we know, West Hartford is not immune to this crisis, and we continue to be a highly desirable community with outstanding services, a high-quality school district, walkable and desirable town center and other areas of town, and that demand is putting incredible pressure on our housing prices, as we have all seen. This plan leverages our vibrancy and prosperity to maintaining and providing more affordable housing options. The About the Plan section dives into what is affordable housing. As we have discussed through this process as well as through multiple development approval processes, housing is deemed unaffordable if a household spends more than 30% of their gross income for housing. For example, if a household earning more than $117,400 per year, which is the median family income for a 4-person household in the Hartford metropolitan statistical area, is spending more than $35,000 on housing costs, then housing is deemed unaffordable for that family. At 80% median income, that number drops to more than $28,000 a year spent on housing costs. This section also includes our current qualified housing units, and based on our housing stock of 27,240, 7.65% of our housing stock is deemed affordable. However, this does not include the large number of family unit developments recently approved by the Town Council over the last several years, which highlights my earlier comments about the affordable housing efforts the Council has made over the last few years. If we are to include all of the units under construction, that would be an additional 522 affordable units, bringing our percentage affordable to 9% of total housing, a number we should be very proud of. And the state statute does identify 10% as a minimum threshold for which communities should aspire to. Our plan is not only to get to that 10% over time, but to get over that number. The existing conditions section of the plan highlights the town's demographics and socioeconomics and housing stock characteristics. Our owner vacancy rate in town is 1.3%, and our renter vacancy rate is 4.4%. Anything below 5% indicates a very strong market and signals the need for additional supply. The last chapter of the plan is our strategy section, and this section begins with a highlight of the Council's ongoing efforts to increase affordable housing options here in town. As mentioned earlier, the Council has approved 522 affordable housing units over the last few years. This includes constructed and occupied developments like One Park, 540 New Park Avenue, the Faxon, under construction projects, which would include 950 Troutbrook, Fellowship Housing, 900 Farmington Avenue, the Camelot, and approved but not yet constructed projects like the L at 1244 North Main, 1700 Asylum, two projects both recently approved by the Council, the Jaden and Elmwood Lofts, both located in Elmwood on New Park Avenue and New Britain Avenue, respectively. In fact, whether it's our town planner, Todd Dumay, our economic development coordinator, Kristen Gorski, or myself, any conversations that we have with a developer following the lead of our town council always includes conversations around affordable housing. Also included in the strategy section is a summary of our affordable housing development program, which is one of the most visionary and unique uses of ARPA funds to encourage the development of new affordable housing units in the state of Connecticut, and something the Town Council should be incredibly proud of. This section also includes other strategies we could implement in the future if the Council so chose, and those would include ideas like tax abatements, which we have done here and there in the past, reduction in building permit fees, inclusionary zoning, explore the creation of tax increment financing districts, housing trust funds, targeting housing investment, looking at town-owned land, and expanding more on our community development block grant program. Our Town Planning and Zoning Commission has reviewed the plan and finds it consistent with our plan of conservation and development, housing goal to enhance and maintain West Hartford's existing neighborhoods and encourage diversity of housing types and costs to provide access and availability of housing options to current and future residents, and also directly supports the POCD housing strategies and actions. In closing, the adoption of this plan will be a significant step forward in our commitment to fostering a more inclusive and sustainable community, and will provide a foundation for future housing policies and initiatives. Thank you all for your continued leadership in this important area, and a special thank you to our Affordable Housing Advisory Group and our town planner, Todd Dumay, for all of their efforts that went into the development of this plan. Through you, Madam Mayor, I will turn it back to you and the Town Council for any comments or questions that you may have on the final affordable housing plan.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. I am going to turn to our chair of our community CPED and have her share her. Have seen her committee many times. So, go ahead, Ms. McGinnis.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this plan predates me being on the council, but I have seen it multiple times and gotten a lot of questions about it and looked at it and talked with Rick about it. And I did have the honor of voting on two of our really great projects, which are the Camelot, which will provide 44 units. That development is all affordable. And the L, which 40 of the 49 units are affordable, and 13 of those are deeply affordable, which is AMI 30% or lower. So, you know, we've been a leader, and I can't say I was a leader because I did not approve the ARPA money. But this is something that I'm sure there are a lot of towns around the country that wish they might have considered doing this, as affordable housing is really in the national spotlight recently. And as someone who in my 20s and 30s would have qualified for this housing, I think it's important that we continue to move forward. This document is not the end of what we're going to do. It is the beginning, and it's, you know, this is something that we're going to approve now, but no one should think that we're done working to provide more affordable housing for people. Communities need all people from all socioeconomic levels, and it's important to help make that possible, especially with, as our town manager said, the outrageous cost of housing these days all over the country. So I think this is a great plan. I look forward to continue working on this and making sure that West Hartford stays a leader in providing affordable housing to people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGinnis, and thank you for your committee's work in reviewing this and a lot of input on and making it and tweaking it. We've had a lot of community input. We've had a lot of our commission input as well, which has really been, I think, made it a very good working document, something to submit, but surely not something that's finished and something we will work off of. Other comments or questions on the plan? Again, none of this is new for us, but maybe for the public. Ms. Poulin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I support this plan as well as a report of our past work and also as a guide to our future. Our town council has demonstrated support for increasing the number of affordable housing units. As the plan indicates, we have over 500 new units coming on board in the next year or so. Here's why it matters. Making housing available is arguably the most impactful action that we can take to promote a high quality of life for people of all ages. And having quality, affordable housing in a community like ours literally can change lives. Not to be ignored, adding affordable housing enriches West Hartford as well by helping our current residents remain in town and by bringing in new neighbors who will contribute to our civic and community life. This is something I'm really proud to support and look forward to helping to enhance affordable housing for people across town.
Thank you, Ms. Pullen. Ms. Blanks?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say thank you to all of those who provided input, especially for those volunteers who gave up their time in terms of the advisory group, and all who had the courage for forward thinking and foresight. A lot of times when we look at these plans, we are in the present, and it's a little difficult for us to look beyond where we are and to look forward. And I say this because a number of people have contacted me about affordable housing in West Hartford. And we say, why West Hartford, right? West Hartford has always been known to just be this desirable community, sort of like a metropolitan community, but with a hometown feel. We have walkable area, like it's stated in the plan. We're on a bus line. And it's just always sort of charming, beautiful, where people feel safe. We have the schools, the whole 9 yards. But more importantly, as I age, I have many people who are also aging and they may want to downsize. And they want affordability and they still want the same type of lifestyle that they have. Now I look at my daughters who are now approaching into young adulthood, and they also want to live somewhere as well as everyone else who has young people safe, but at the same time, they want upscale, they still want some of those desirable things. And we've looked at all that. And we looked at spaces that are becoming available. And I don't want to say blighted, but perhaps are a little old and need updating. And we were able to look at that, turn it around, make it attractive and beautiful for other people to either come in or for those who want to stay in town. We've done all of this in this plan, and it also allows us to be a leader for other towns, other cities in the state that are always looking at West Hartford and what we're doing. So I'm really proud to be part of this council and for this council to work with our professional staff that look to do that. So of course, I'm going to be supporting this, but I just think it's a beautiful thing when we can have forward thinking. We look where we are now, and then we look 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and 20 years from now. So I really want to commend everybody who came to the table and put this together.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Okay, Mr. Cortez.
So as someone that has lived in government housing, has moved at least a dozen times, in my childhood, someone who's a realtor, right? Someone who sits on the Fellowship Housing Board in West Hartford, having a plan, an affordable housing plan is extremely. Just here, slides with a lot of information, and I know that when we talk about affordable housing, people's mind go one direction. They don't realize what it looks like. High quality living, right, for our seniors. For our disabled. It is more than just the AMI. That we talk about here. And I've said it before. We don't do enough. When we look at an 80% AMI, that's anybody. That's young professionals, right? That is someone that's going to be in there for a very short time because they just got a job as a teacher, as an educator, or them and their spouse work in the center. 1 or 2 raises, they're going to have to find something else, right? Home ownership, it's touched on here too. CHFA plays a huge role. The time to own program was something as well. So having a plan is extremely important. We don't have to love everything in the plan because I don't love everything here. There's 1 or 2 lines that, things that I don't like, abatements. I'm not a huge fan of the tax abatements, but there's a lot of good stuff here. And I think that's important, is just having a plan and being able to look at it, 5 years on the road and say, you know what, this really didn't work. We can do this better. So thank you for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cortez. No? Mary, you want to?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Fay, I should say.
Oh, Mary's fine. That's all good. Obviously, I have some concerns that I tried to voice in our various meetings. Obviously, I support everybody and all people coming and being welcome in our town, clearly. But I don't like unfunded mandates put upon us by the state, and this is just yet another one. We're very close at 9%. I think a lot of the things that are in this plan hurt existing taxpayers, and I'm always going to be mindful of that. We've seen a terrific amount of development in town, and we haven't seen any property tax relief for people who are already here. I think there is a housing crisis, no doubt about it, in terms of affordability. I'm not sure this addresses what the drivers of that are. I don't want to get into an economic discussion, but we know that inflation and other things driven by private equity companies buying up a large swaths of single-family and other types of properties are driving prices very, very high. It is a concern. I'm not going to say it isn't, but I think there's other things that we can do to address it from a more holistic value. I think a lot of these things will happen organically. The 10%, we're very close already. This report is good. It's very good, and it does say that there's other things that we have that are affordable in our town that may not meet the definition of 830G, because again, that's a government state mandate. So I do have concerns, and I also, like everybody else, spend a lot of time with residents and taxpayers, a significant amount of my time. And they're very, very concerned about the direction on a lot of items that we're heading in. And tax abatements, that's a very hard pill for me to swallow. I have not voted for one yet, and I'm not sure that I will. We are a desirable town, and we do attract a lot of interest from developers and others without penalizing our own existing taxpayers. So those are my concerns, and thank you for allowing me to voice them.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. And Mr. Walters?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. First of all, thanks to everybody. I mirror that gratitude. The other thing that has vexed me for quite some time is just what the definition of affordable housing is. I have mentioned this before, 80%, and Councilor Cortez touched upon this. 80% is not affordable, it's attainable. Attainable housing is 80 to 120% of AMI. And I'm glad that this plan builds upon what we have already done and also recognizes, West Hartford recognizes that truly affordable housing is not attainable housing. It is less than that. And the challenge is to make sure that that less than does not feel less than, and that people are treated with dignity and respect and have the same kind of access to quality homes that the rest of us have. And so I think this is a great start to the future. And it lays out the foundation, and I look forward to see how we mold this as we move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Mr. Winograd?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As some people know, this is really an issue that goes deep to my heart. And I'll note, I was on a statewide committee where one of the things we were looking at was plans as they came in and keeping track of the ones that weren't coming in. And I will note that we're late. And I would tell people the reason we're late is because we're actually doing the work. And sometimes it takes time to write it down, and you don't want to stop the action just to fill out a report. So I want to express my deepest appreciation to our staff and to the committee. I'm not sure if Rick did, but I want to name the members of our staff who have particularly been, who are mentioned on this report. Rick, of course, yourself, Dwayne Martin, Todd Dumay, and Brian Pundick, and the members of the advisory group. I know the kind of work you've done. This is a hard topic, and you've really put just so much effort and heart into this report. I know when there is, the article will be in the paper on this, and it will get posted onto Facebook, and we're going to see some negative comments. And I'm not going to, we all know what we're going to see. And they're sad. And it's always a little depressing, and that's what social media often does. And you think, see people get brave on social media and maybe don't think very long about what they're saying. But I'm convinced that the vast majority of our residents in town understand the importance of what we're doing here. And so I'm encouraging people to stay positive. And when you read that stuff, it's okay. People can have their opinions. But the focus needs to be on the work. And again, what I think most of our residents recognize is that we're talking about providing homes for our teachers, our other public staff, our kids who want to live in town, our friends, our neighbors, both old and new. And I think that's something that really is what makes West Hartford great. Now, when I was thinking about tonight, I actually planned, I thought about writing a more extensive speech. And then I reread the report again. And I said, well, you guys already did it. And I don't need to come up with my own phrases. But I do want to highlight one phrase, quoting from the report, because I think, again, you've really crystallized what's going on, and I do want to give it the prominence, and with the hope that people will read the report. It's online. It's really good. There's a lot of information in here. You got thrown a lot of statistics, but if it's hard to absorb them, but read the report. And I do think people will learn a lot from it. Maybe even read it before you post on Facebook. I know that's a shocking thing to suggest, and So to quote from the report, planning for affordable housing is foundational to maintaining a vibrant and prosperous community. Without affordable housing, West Hartford places its desirability, vibrancy, and prosperity at risk. If West Hartford becomes too wealthy, too exclusionary, and unaffordable to working and middle-class households, it runs the risk of being unable to retain and attract residents, businesses, and a qualified workforce. And then it goes on to talk about the things we value, the diversity, not just economic, but racial and in all the other ways. And none of those things can happen without a place for people to live. So again, I thank you all. It was better, sometimes late is good. And you've come up with something that we can all be proud of. And with that, again, I'll say it one more time. Please read the report, everybody. You'll learn something. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd, and thank you for your work and interest in being a leader on this council on affordable housing. I just want to recognize your work for accessory dwelling units, which we were ahead of the state, and the state did look at that and found that as being a good option for people to age in place and a variety of other, being able to keep a house and all of those things. So thank you very much. I also want to start by my thank yous and to add to Mr. Winograd's list of our town manager, Rick Ledwith, Dwayne Martin, Community Services Director, Brian Pudlick, also for Community Services, Todd Dumay, our town planner, but also Kristen Gorski, who has sought out those unique properties and matched developers to the projects or developments that work to accommodate a variety of housing. And we've talked about affordable housing and housing in general we always talk about it. It drives so much. It drives, obviously, people that live here, people that it defines our community. It also, affordable, housing of all kinds is a concern, right? Whether it's when we look at our revaluations and we're in that assessment period for revals, and we see the shift in properties going of larger homes not going up as much as those moderate priced homes, we understand the impact, and we just had about a 5-year cycle of how those taxes, our budget, the way our budget works in the state of Connecticut, gets spread among those properties. And if some values go up more than others, they shift to those properties. And that becomes really hard on some families and has nothing to do with our budget necessarily, but it has to do with the relative values of those homes. And so we watch those patterns and we think about how that manifests itself in family budgets and maybe possibly fixed incomes, or families that are sending their kids to college, or families that maybe are have a health issue, all different kinds of things that happen to families through their life cycles. And we also know that we don't have enough inventory of homes, period. I was just talking to a new Hartford healthcare executive tonight, and she said, we're bidding on our I think it was 5th home, and we know what we need to do. We need to have cash. We need to have, everything set, and maybe possibly no inspection, which is a whole nother discussion. But it's competitive, and we don't have enough inventory. And part of that housing discussion is adding to inventory at all levels. So the component of affordability, and many people again, around the country probably would not think that $117,400, 30% of that, $35,000 is, in some areas that's enough, but in, in our area, when we have property taxes that drive so much of our budgets, and again, not all, it is in a residential town like West Hartford, largely what drives our budgets. 90% of our budgets are property taxes. It is high, that property tax right off the bat on a moderate home is a third of that. And so affordability is a problem. I mean, because we fully fund education, because we fully fund our public safety, because we fully fund our community development and all of those pieces, that's always a challenge. And so the groundless growth discussion is part of what we look to do to hopefully to increase affordability across the board, but it's also that intentional investment in options that are provided at all different income levels. Higher income, whether it's those luxury condos that people have read about on LaSalle, and hopefully those will get built, to fellowship, where those are more deeply affordable, and 30%, as Counselor McGinnis was talking about, at the L, and also at Camelot. It's an intentional effort, and this does not happen by accident. The efforts to add those 550 plus units, 522, has been absolute intentional efforts. Developers don't build this just because. I have been a part of many discussions on putting the pieces together on housing projects, period. And when you ask them to add 10, 15, 20% affordable, it makes it that much harder. It also, if they are putting together funding that comes from the federal government or the state, CHAFA funding, there's a lot of pieces that have to get put together. There's a lot of requirements. It is a challenge, and it takes enormous amount of time and energy. And so the progress that we've made is being noticed nationally, actually. We have gotten really positive feedback around, I've been to panels, I've been in discussions, and they're saying that's real progress. This is quality, affordable housing for people at all income levels. And so I am very proud of the work we've done. As I said before, this is not complete. We're not finished. This document, the plan, is a working document. What I think some people mentioned of things they don't like, part of that is just a toolkit. It's toolkit because we have some properties that might have the need for when we had a historic property that was denied historic tax credits and wasn't getting built, and it was the second or third iteration of that investment, and it was stalled and had been left undeveloped for over 10 years. We consulted professionals that said there's a shortfall in the economics of this, and the only way it will work is to provide that bridge over 10 years to provide that tax tool that municipalities have. And so it was a difficult decision, but that's what we decided. And now 300 and some odd people have cars that they're paying taxes on, an increasing amount of tax on a non-taxable property that has been adding to our budget as well. So, and the quality of life in the businesses along Park Road, and the businesses came out in full support for that. So the important thing is, again, these give us tools to work with, and each plan, each development might use different elements of the plan, but it gives us broad base to work on. And And the other thing, again, I just want to reiterate one more time, this did not happen by accident. Developers don't come and say, we're going to do this because we know it's the good thing to do. It takes a partnership with the municipality and lots of effort on everybody's part, whether that is remediation or putting the pieces together on financing or helping that or bridging through our ARPA money that we have done. This would not have happened without the commitment of this town. So I'm so proud of everybody's efforts on it, and I am very happy to support this plan. And and if that's, we can leave it at that. And this is a voice vote. So all of those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. So you got that, Mr. David?
The vote is 8 in favor, 1 no. Counselor Fay's the no.
Thank you. All right. We go to, again, thank you, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution appropriating grant funds awarded under the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are very fortunate, again, to have received the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program grant, which is administered by the Department of Justice. This resolution will allow us to accept a $4,444 matching grant, which will fund 50% of the cost of a bulletproof vest, which, as we know, is very important to our police department, as our vests have a current warranty of 5 years. So we're often replacing them, and at a cost of about $1,000 a vest, this will come in, again, very handy to the town. So thank you. Happy to answer any questions that the council may have. Through you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. I know this wasn't discussed in FNA. Finance
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, in support. Obviously, it's, well, we're eager to take grant money, but also, obviously, it's a great cause and certainly needed and deserved. So, urge support.
And Ms. Blanks, I know that you had a question on this for a little more information, and being Public Safety Chair, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, this partnership grant is huge because we want our officers to be safe at all times. And especially we see over the years, unfortunately, our crime rate has increased, and it seems like each and every day our officers are put more and more in harm's way in protecting the general public as well as property. So, and I'm sure when we do apply for grants, I think we're fortunate because if I'm not incorrect, we usually get the monies that we usually apply for. So kudos to our grant writers that are in many of our departments are skilled at doing that. And for this, it is very well needed. I did have a question though, and I was just sort of milling over this, and it's because our policemen, as well as our fire, are very near and dear to me. And even last night, I was really touched with the long applause that they received at the event. And one was standing next to me, and I had to turn to him and just give him his props. So in terms of the vest itself, and I look at the vest as supply and equipment, and I know in terms of manufacturing, we can go, and I'm just really hoping that this doesn't apply to us, but a low grade and a mid grade and a high grade. And I could be totally off, but this was just something that bothered me. Does that apply here? Like, how do we know what we're getting for the money that we're spending?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So our chiefs and leadership within the department obviously do an outstanding job of providing the best protection possible for our officers. And it's a great question. I can, we do have a Public Safety Committee meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and I can have one of the chiefs, Chief Riddick, will be in the beginning part of the meeting, and then we'll need to step out for some very important work that he has to do in the morning, but I'll make sure that we address that question specifically in the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. But of course, I will totally be supporting this because I want to make sure that our officers are covered with the very high quality equipment as they put their lives on the line that we have all witnessed far too much between the last 2 years of their service.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks, and I'm sure we will confirm that it's of highest quality. But all right, are there any other comments or questions on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we go to the remainder of the reports of the town manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'll begin the report with a summary of upcoming council business. And as I just mentioned, we do have a Public Safety Committee meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. That is a virtual meeting. We have a Community Planning and Economic Development Committee next Wednesday, October 16th at 8 a.m. virtual, followed by a Public Works Facility Service and Sustainability Committee the following Thursday evening, October 17th at 6 p.m., and that's virtual. And then we have a Human and Community Services Committee meeting on Monday, October 21st at 6 p.m. So a busy schedule of standing committee work coming up over the next week. Our next town council meeting is October 22nd here in the council chambers at 7:30 p.m. And then I have a few reports I'd just like to briefly touch on. So as an email I sent out to the council on Friday, very, very pleased to inform everyone that we've received the Sustainable CT Gold certification. This prestigious recognition reflects our council's commitment to sustainability and acknowledges the collective efforts of our community, staff, and leadership in advancing environmental equity and economic initiatives. West Hartford has demonstrated significant achievements in 12 sustainable impact areas, ranging from inclusive community building, thriving local economies, and vibrant arts and culture, to clean transportation and affordable housing. Achieving this certification is a significant milestone, and it highlights the hard work we have all put into making our town a more resilient place to live. We should all be proud of this accomplishment and continuing to strive to build on this momentum. Thank you to the Town Council for your continued vision, leadership, and support towards our progress, and a special thank you to Catherine DeVinny for her leadership and hard work, especially throughout this application process. An award ceremony will be held on November 13th down in Old Saybrook, and we will be, Glastonbury, Bristol, and Fairfield also earned the gold distinction this year too. So I think there's a total of 6 communities town-wide who are gold certified. So outstanding. Kudos to all of us. Early voting and absentee ballots. Election day is Tuesday, November 5th. All polling places are open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting will take place in the Town Hall Auditorium beginning Monday, October 21st through November 3rd from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Extended hours are offered on October 29th and 31st from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Same-day registration will be available in the Town Hall during early voting period and on Election Day. Absentee ballots and applications are available through the Town Clerk's office. The Public Works Report a Problem website is currently down to maintenance and upgrading. Please report any problems directly to Public Works at 860-561-8100. Beginning October 9th, a new Report a Problem system will be activated, allowing residents to report problems they identify throughout the community. Your patience and understanding are appreciated during this transition period. The Hartford Marathon will hold its half and full marathons in 5K on Saturday, October 19th. A portion of the route passes through West Hartford and will cause temporary road closures. The following roads will be closed to traffic from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. As soon as roads are clear of runners, some roads will open earlier than 9:30 a.m., for example, Fern Street. Adjacent roads will also be affected. Please expect delays and detours when possible. Police will direct cross traffic during the race. Streets impacted are Fern Street, Prospect Ave to Penn Drive, Asylum Avenue, Penn Drive to Prospect Avenue, Elizabeth Park Road, and then Prospect Avenue, Fern Street to Asylum Avenue. The West Hartford Office of Emergency Management is launching an updated special needs registry to collect West Hartford residents' information about specific medical needs that require additional assistance, or those who are electrically dependent, meaning they require electricity to power life-saving medical devices. Residents who are homebound may also be placed on this registry. The Special Needs Registry Program is a voluntary program that enables residents with health or medical conditions to inform the town of their needs. The registry helps emergency responders identify individuals needing extra assistance during emergencies, evacuations, or extended utility outages. The registry is confidential. To ensure it remains up to date, residents must sign up annually through this link, which is online, for folks to be able to access. Best-selling author Jacqueline Woodson will headline West Hartford's Reads on October 17th. West Hartford Public Library is thrilled to announce that its West Hartford Reads 2024 best-selling author is Jacqueline Woodson, National Book Award winner and MacArthur Genius Grant recipient. Jacqueline Woodson is one of the nation's most acclaimed authors writing for children, adolescents, and adults. Join us on Thursday, October 17th at Sedgwick Middle School for a free author talk and book signing. Free tickets are available on a first-come, first-served basis at all 3 library locations. Doors open at 6. The event will begin at 7. The Connecticut Department of Transportation will hold a public information meeting concerning the intersection improvements at Bishop's Corner in West Hartford on October 22nd at the Bishop's Corner Senior Center, which is located at 15 Starkville Road. The meeting will begin at 6:30 with an open house forum, followed by a formal design presentation at 7 p.m. And additional details can be found on the project webpage found online as well. And that concludes the town manager's report this evening. Through you, Madam Mayor, happy to answer any questions that you may have on any of those topics or anything else.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Are you running the Hartford Half Marathon?
I will be running the half
Oh,
marathon.
that is, your legs are in good
I
condition.
just biked 200 miles, so I think I
That's
can
right.
run.
You should be ready. Your heart and your quads are all ready. All right. Any questions for the town manager? Okay, seeing none, we will move to Corporation Counsel. Anything? Nice haircut, Mr. Dodd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I have no formal report. We do not require any executive session this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Dodge? Okay. Then we go to announcements. I just want to recognize the really, I'm so proud of the work that's been done by the leadership in this town to achieve the gold certification. It is not an easy, it's not easy designation, and it took a lot of work. But the note in the email that I saw a copy of back to Catherine Deviney, who worked so hard to submit that application, was just how strong our application was and how impressed they were by the elements of our application, our submission. So I'm really, really proud of that. Anyway, okay. As we enter the respiratory virus season, the health district is seeing respiratory illnesses, quite a few, especially in our schools, including COVID, flu, pertussis, RSV, pneumonia circulating in our community and surrounding communities. The best way to protect yourself is staying up to date on immunizations. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Avoid close contact with others who are sick, masking, and of course getting tested. The health district offers the latest COVID vaccine by appointment at their 580 Cottage Grove Road offices. And you can get your flu shots October 10th, 2:30 to 5:30 at Town Hall, October 15th, 10 a.m. to noon at Bishop's Corner Senior Center, October 17th, 2:30 to 5:30 at Town Hall, and then October 21st, 2:30 to 5:30 at Conard High School. Bring your insurance card and ID, and you can contact the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District with any questions. There are also free COVID tests available by the website that I think distributed them last year. That's covidtest.gov. Every U.S. household is eligible for 4 free at-home kits. Be sure to get yours and spread the word to neighbors and friends that might not know about that. CCM Scholarship Contest they're seeking to actively engage Connecticut's youth through a contest by challenging them to answer this question. I'd be interested to have them answer. What is cool about local government? The contest is open to all students attending a Connecticut middle school or high school. Students can work by themselves or collaborate with small groups. And the prizes are one middle school, one high school project will each receive a $1,000 prize. And there is a link on our website. But Mr. Ledwith, could we get this to Mr. Vacinas, to the school system so they can?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the mayor's youth council as well would be great. Thank you. Okay. Invasive plant removal party, October 10th. You are invited to Spice Bush Swamp at 173 Mountain Road, and the efforts will be to restore the park by removing the tenacious invasive species that have damaged the site, installing native plants in their place. Thank you very much to the West Harvard Garden Club. So much of their work they do to beautify and make our spaces healthier, and festival fall samplings, kids activities, and lots more fall fun. ADHD parenting, navigating the tween and teen years, October 16th, sponsored by the Community of Concern. This will be 6:15 to 7:30 at Noah Webster Library. Join them to discuss the back-to-school transition and the type of support that are needed to support students with ADHD. And you can contact West Harvard Community of Concern at Gmail, or there is a link on our website. Hart School Senior Dance Contest, All of Us, takes place on October 18th and 19th at 7:30, and at the 18th and 2:30 on the 19th and 7:30 at the Edward C. and A&T Roberts Foundation Theater, at the Performing Arts Center, Mort and Irma Performing Arts Center, located at 35 Westbourne Highway and Parkway in Hartford. To purchase the tickets, there's, again, information on our website. Root to Rise Community Farm Share, October 19th, 10 a.m. to noon, is offering advance ordering a farm share, and there's also a link on our website. Community Block Party will take place October 20th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Town Hall parking lot. This is open to everybody, and it's an old-fashioned way of connecting and celebrating the beautiful diversity of West Hartford. It will feature a scavenger hunt, neighbor speed dating, wow, school mascots, and food trucks. For more information, contact Adrian Billing-Smith, our own Adrian Billing-Smith. And West Hartford Symphony Orchestra, New Beginnings, will take place October 20th at 3 p.m. at the University of St. Joseph's Auditorium. The concert features pianist Kevin Schwartz performing Rhapsody in Blue and by George Gershwin, Symphony 8. And by Anton Dvorak, and then a Hoedown by Aaron Copeland. Sorry. Tickets can be purchased at the door or online. It should be wonderful. I know we have pumpkins to talk about. Okay, Mr. Cortez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So yes, West Hartford United Methodist Church, if you haven't noticed, the pumpkins are out already. So the last Thursday of September, we received a delivery of 2,500 pumpkins. We're going to receive another delivery on the 17th with an additional 1,500 pumpkins. This is a great cause from beginning to end. We get this from a Navajo farm in New Mexico, so we get to help out that community. The more money, the more pumpkins we sell, the greater percentage we get, and that goes 100% back to the community, whether it's the youth group to help, families with needs during the summer, whether it's painting their decks. The Friendship Center gets a portion of those funds, South Park Inn, and then the leftover pumpkins go to a pig farmer, and he feeds the animals with the leftover pumpkins. So again, good stuff happens from beginning to end with this mission. And then another thing we have going on October 19th is the Pumpkin Festival. We'll have crafters available, selling their goods, and that is from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Mr. Walters.
Councilor Cortez, mind telling us where that is located?
It is located on 1358 New Britain Avenue at West Hartford United Methodist Church, a couple lights away from West Farms Mall.
Thank you. I just thought we'd get that out there and make it official.
Good point. Thank you all.
I also had a comment. The Community Block Party, I've been tangentially associated with the organization of this. And when they say good old-fashioned and the neighbor speed dating, this is designed to be a way to get the community to engage with one another. Members of the organizing committee are from all facets of the community, and all too often we tend to silo ourselves either by school or by what we do or whatever. And this is just a really designed to get us all together and meet and know our neighbors.
Thank you, I appreciate that. When I think of speed dating, I think of rejection of certain people, and so it was a bad visual for me, but that's okay. Not that I've speed dated, Michael. Anyway, did you have something? No? Okay, all right. The question on the floor is, how do the squirrels not eat the pumpkins at the Methodist church?
I think it's the squirrels within your community, because right now I have pumpkins on my my property and they're fine, but when I was on Fern Street, the pumpkins will only last. Yeah.
Counselor
There's some
McGinnis,
extra
they must
help
be
from above.
protected.
So the grid squirrels are after pumpkins, is what you're saying.
That's so funny. Okay, all right. Anything else? Okay.
Mayor, I just want to remind folks, Town That Cares and the food pantry. And I also want to note in this time of high utilities, Town That Cares does help out with some of those expenses for people who are in need.
I'm cut off. Thank you very much. Okay, anything else? Okay, without objection, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Any objection? We are now adjourned. Thank you. Good evening.